The new Rover 100, good to look at and fun to drive. A class-beating car with a badge to prove it. Rover have introduced a whole host of improvements, and the purpose of this presentation is to show you the new features, and in particular a brand new diesel engine. As you can see, the exterior appearance of the 100 has been very successfully restyled. Changes to the bonnet and headlamps have greatly enhanced the frontal appearance, and the transformation is complete by a new bumper and front end. The style of the new air intake giving it that well-known Rover look. Incidentally, if you're wondering what's different about the lights, we no longer have separate direction indicators. They're now included in the headlamps. Other exterior styling changes include a redesigned rear bumper, new sill mouldings and rubbing strips on the sides, and new wheel covers, all combining to give a very pleasing new appearance to the car. Potential car thieves will be put off by the sophisticated alarm system fitted to the Rover 100. It has a parametric alarm to cover the illicit opening of doors, tailgate, bonnet and so on, and electronic immobilization of the engine. It's similar to the system in the 200, the difference being that because there are no door switches, the driver does not have the facility to use the emergency key access code procedure if he has lost the remote control he locked it with. Once inside the Rover 100, you'll immediately notice the new trim materials and fittings which give the car that prestigious Rover feel. Of course, like other Rover models, the 100 has a range of trim levels to suit everyone. From the driver's seat, you'll spot the new steering wheel and the 200 style column stalks. A driver's airbag is available as option on all models. It's located in the steering wheel, together with its ECU, and works in a similar way to the 200. As you look around, you'll notice a number of other detail improvements to the controls and interior appearance. And the radio cassette system is fitted as standard. And now, under bonnet, to the heart of the car, the power units. This 1.5 litre diesel is all new, and we'll look at it in more detail in a moment. The K-Series 1.1 and 1.4 litre petrol engines remain pretty much unchanged, with single-point fuel injection being fitted to all. The 4-speed gearbox is no longer offered. All manual gearboxes will be the 5-speed R65 unit. There is no 16-valve GTI in the Rover 100 lineup, but the 114 GTA model is well worth a separate mention. Externally, it's given its own distinctive appearance by painting the sill mouldings and rubbing strips in the body colour, giving the car an apparently lower, more purposeful stance. The good-looking alloy road wheels have lockable wheel nuts. Not so obvious is the different axle ratio fitted to the GTA. Until you drive it, that is, when you'll notice the improved acceleration. Now let's look at the new 1.5 diesel engine in some detail. It has improved performance and good drivability, and is designed to comply with the forthcoming ECD2 exhaust emission regulations. It's an easy engine to work on. For example, as you'll see, there's no complicated pump timing procedure, and there are very few new special tools to worry about either. Many are existing tools from the previous 1.4 engine. It's a fairly conventional design of 1527cc, having a cast iron block and an aluminium alloy head with indirect injection. The injectors are a screw-in type. The DPC fuel injection pump may look familiar to you, but there are one or two differences which we'll look at in a minute. Incidentally, number 1 cylinder is at the flywheel end. This external poly V-belt drives the alternator and is adjusted by this tensioner. The timing belt cover is in 2 halves. When the top half is removed, you can see the camshaft drive gear and the fuel injection pump drive gear. Remove the lower half to see the water pump gear and the timing belt tensioner. Moving round to the manifold side, the engine has an interesting new design of inlet manifold. 4 individual tubes from a common airbox create a ram effect to the intake air. At the flywheel end of the engine, you can see the vacuum pump, driven off the end of the camshaft. Alongside it is the fuel filter and fuel heating system. As you can see, it's similar to the previous engine. Fitted in the coolant housing is this WACStat for the fuel injection pump fast idle control, and down here is the hole for the flywheel timing pin. The DPC pump itself is similar in appearance to previous DPC pumps. The one service difference is that it's no longer necessary to carry out an anti-stall adjustment. This device is a cold idle advanced solenoid. It advances the injection point during cold starts to reduce the possibility of white smoke and progressively retards as the engine warms. You'll be pleased to hear that on this engine you'll not need dial gauges and complicated special tools to time the pump. As you'll see in a minute, timing is simplicity itself. Well, so much for the external features. Now let's look at some key service operations. First, the timing belt. To change it, remove the crankshaft gear and both timing covers to gain access to the belt. Now find the timing point like this. You'll need 2 timing pins, one for the flywheel and one for the injection pump gear, and a suitable 8mm size bolt to time the camshaft gear. Turn the engine over to TDC on number 4 cylinder and fit the flywheel timing pin. Fit the 8mm bolt through the camshaft gear. It has to go through one of the 2 slotted holes in the gear and through a hole in the hub behind it. And, as you can see, this happens just after the 3 o'clock position. At this same point, you'll also be able to fit the fuel injection pump timing pin through the pump gear and hub like this. The crankshaft, camshaft and pump are both now locked in their timed position, so you can slacken the timing belt adjuster and remove the belt. Before starting to fit the belt, slacken the 3 bolts securing the camshaft gear and pump gear on their hubs, and rotate both gears clockwise as far as they'll go on their slotted holes. Check that the timing pins and bolt are in position. Then fit the belt like this. Keep it as taut as possible and fit it around the gears in this sequence: crankshaft gear, idler pulley, pump gear and camshaft gear. When you reach the camshaft gear, you will probably have to turn the gear anti-clockwise until the belt can locate over the first available tooth. But don't turn the gear any further than that. Then finish fitting the belt by easing it around the water pump and the tensioner pulley. Now adjust the belt to the pre-tension limit and tighten the 3 camshaft and pump gear bolts. Remove the timing pins and bolt. Turn the crankshaft 10 complete turns and then refit the flywheel timing pin. Fit the timing bolt and pump timing pin too. If their holes are not quite in alignment, you can slacken the tensioner slightly. Now you must slacken the gear to hub bolts again and release the tensioner fully. Retension the belt to the correct tension and tighten the tensioner securing nut to the correct torque. Tighten the gear bolts to the correct torque and remove the timing pins and bolt. The camshaft and the fuel injection pump are now both correctly timed to the crankshaft, and there's no further pump timing to be done. Simple, isn't it? The camshaft cover is rather like the 1.4. When you refit it, don't forget to fit a new gasket and sealing washers to maintain an airtight joint. The 3 camshaft securing caps are numbered and must always be refitted in their same position. Number 1 cap is at the vacuum pump end. The cylinder head layout is very similar to the previous diesel. For example, the valve clearance shims are outside the tappet buckets as before. There is only one thickness of cylinder head gasket, so you don't have to worry about piston protrusion checks. The gasket is fitted dry with the maker's mark facing up. Check the length of the bolts before fitting them and comparing the length with the specification in the workshop manual. If any one bolt requires renewal, then all the bolts should be renewed. Lubricate the bolt threads and the underside of the head, but not the washers. Tighten all the bolts progressively to a torque of 40 Newton meters and then a further 260 degrees. Incidentally, the glow plug operation is controlled by coolant temperature. This sensor, near the thermostat, is connected into the glow plug circuit and ensures that post-heat ends when the coolant reaches a preset temperature. The same sensor is connected into the circuit to the cold idle advanced solenoid that we showed you a bit earlier on the injection pump. The other sensor, which is brown, signals the temperature gauge and the over-temperature warning light in the instrument panel. The cast iron block has the cylinders bored directly in it, and the oil pump is chain-driven off the front of the crankshaft. There are 5 main bearings. The caps are numbered 1 to 5, and the end float thrust washers are located at number 2 bearing. The main bearing shells are a selective fit. The journal sizes are indicated by these letters on the front web of number 5 main bearing, A, B, C, and so on, and the bore sizes in the block by letters on the block front face. Now the fuel injection pump. If you want to check pump timing, remove the upper timing cover, turn the crankshaft until the flywheel timing pin can be fitted, and then check that the 8mm timing bolt and timing pin we used earlier will fit through the camshaft and pump gears. If either won't fit, then carry out the belt adjustment procedure we showed you earlier. But you don't have to turn the crankshaft 10 times unless you have fitted a new belt. There are 2 cables to the fuel injection pump, the fast idle cable and the throttle cable. Both may require adjustment from time to time, and you'll find the procedures in your workshop manual. In the last few minutes, we've shown you the main features and service operations on the new 1.5 diesel engine. We'll finish by summarising the other features we've looked at on the Rover 100. A distinctive new look to the exterior styling, an upmarket luxury feel to the interior trim and fittings, a new steering wheel with airbag availability, a sophisticated alarm system to bring it into line with other Rover models. Under bonnet, the 1.1 and 1.4 petrol engines are all fuel injected, and 5-speed gearboxes are being fitted across the range. The new Rover 100, a car which has a great deal going for it. Thank you for watching.